Hey. Oh! Sorry, I'm actively playing the game. I almost walked off the edge. Oh my. Hang on. Let's minimize OBS. Hello! What's up, Haga? Welcome to the stream. Dino over on YouTube. I'm just about to go in the bath. Don't have Twitch right now. If I want to go over to Twitch, I'll need my iPad or computer. Hey, man, no worries, dude. Thanks for tuning in. YouTube is actually the only people with, like, the official... Like, so there's a different name for the stream on YouTube and on Twitch. On Twitch, it's just kind of generic. You have Minecraft stuff trying to get viewers. But on YouTube, it actually gives you a bit of a hint or a, I don't know, teaser for the, for what it is we are actually doing here. Tiger, dude, what is up, man? This your no, it's not your first stream. No, it's not. I've been seeing you chat away in the Discord. To all the new people in the Discord who are on stream, which is probably no one because we've got like 3 viewers right now. Yeah, sorry I've been busy recently. I've been ridiculously busy recently. So I do apologize. I've not been answering comments or really talking to people almost at all, but I've been incredibly busy. It's probably not going to stop until like summer of next year, so be ready for it. But anywho, it's my second stream. Oh, yes. Okay, I remember. Yeah, you tuned in right at the end of the last one. Gotcha. I remember now. Okay. Man, one of these days, I'm going to have to play Dark Adventure. But like I said, I've just been busy, dude. So busy. All right. Let me switch over to the game. Voila. So this is a project. This is my forever world, and if I unhid my GUI and you look in the top left, you'll be able to see immediately. Not only is this a bedrock world, this is a nearly 10,000 days played bedrock world. I have played on this world since 2020, maybe 2019. I don't entirely remember. Taco, what is up, dude? Welcome to the stream. I was starting to get worried, man. I really was. He made it. He made it. 9,871 days. Yes. 72 now. 72. Sun just came up, buddy. But the project we are going to be working on, I have dubbed the Big Dig, or Project XKV8. Excavate. Yeah, it's very clever. Actually, the funny thing is, the only reason why I had to come up with the secondary name Project XKV8 is because apparently you're not allowed to say Big Dig in Bedrock Edition. It censors it. I have my censorship turned off. But if I put it in like a book, it censors it. So I couldn't name the book The Big Dig because it kept censoring it. So I had to name it Project XKV8 and come up with a whole new project name or whatever. So as of now, I'm making a new mod since I'm bored. It's called Tigerside Infinity Rebound. Yo, what? It's like 3 words that have nothing to do with each other. 4 words if you want to say Tigerside are 2 different words. A remake of an old mod I had. I mean, that just sounds crazy. It's a Lost Infinity clone. See, I don't even know what Lost Infinity is, so I couldn't tell you. Like, it doesn't mean anything to me. You know how that works. You should know this mod. Oh, okay. Well, I don't. I don't know how that works. Yo, unknown on Twitch tuning in. All right, guys, I got to do this reveal because this thing is so awesome. Seem to be in a better mood today than last stream. I am ironically in a great mood today. I don't know if you guys can tell, but I got a haircut. My sister just cut my hair today, and it's gone. I used to have hair down to here. It's gone now. Cut it all off. I was gonna go bald, so the fact that I have hair at all, you can thank my sister. I was just gonna shave that whole thing off. It was getting really annoying. I also got a haircut last week. Hey, looking good, Taco. I'm sure you look great. What is this? we'll get to that after we get past our normal 30 minutes of me getting way off topic, as I usually do when I start stream. But no, the funny thing is I had a crazy migraine this morning and I actually threw up at work. I was trying to work. I work at Lowe's and Home Depot assembling grills. So imagine you go to Lowe's and you see this guy passed out laying on one of the carts. That was me because I had a migraine and I couldn't work. And I was like, oh, got up and ended up throwing up in this like cardboard box filled with trash. Like, it was a mess. But I feel a lot better. I took some migraine medication when I got home and I feel a lot better. I wanted to start the stream way earlier, but I've been trying to feel better. Thank you, Haga, for the compliments on the haircut. I appreciate it. Tiger says, right now I'm working on the equivalence to the deviance, the ethereal. Dude, see, man, good luck. More power to you. That means nothing to me. I have no idea what all is in that mod. And if I'm missing some of your comments, I'm sorry. I have a tendency to ignore YouTube and follow and watch Twitch. So I'm sorry about that. Haga with the follow. What is up, dude? Thank you. That's awesome. I thought you were already following. Maybe you unfollowed and I don't know. Right now, I'm also animating dude, animations are so cool and add so much to your mod, but they're not the easiest. They can be really tricky. Bro looks snazzy. Oh, thanks. I appreciate it. What's up, hacker? All the ladies are trying to get through the door. Bro, what do you think? I got that funky cold Medina? Nah. Tiny Dino in the bath now? All right. Back on topic. This is the big dig. So you can see we are all the way. Let's ignore that. Let's ignore the so there's a roof on this thing. This is a 12 chunk by 12 chunk area. That's 144 total chunks. We are in a Stony Peaks, I think. Stony Peaks biome. So we are up here at 255. 255 is not the build limit, but the height limit for naturally spawning terrain. So naturally spawning terrain will not generate above the height we are currently at. And this height up here this is spruce trapdoors. This is 144 chunks of spruce trapdoors. I did not place these trapdoors. My buddy got on and placed these for me. It was actually kind of nuts. But up here, this is the build height. Like, if I wanted to, I don't have any, I guess I have an ender chest. Like, I can't place any blocks on top of these trapdoors. It's impossible to go any higher than this. What world is this? I've never seen it before. I've only streamed it once. This is my personal forever world, and you can see we're getting really close to 10,000 days played up in the top left. Once we hit 10,000 days played, I'm gonna make a world tour video, and I'll probably start streaming it more often. But this has been so far private. I've only ever showed it off to the public once. And that was when the Pale Oak update came out. We flew out to a Pale Oak forest and we deforested the whole thing on stream. Took like 3 hours. And that's the only other time that this world has ever been on YouTube or Twitch. But this world has a ton of stuff to it, so that's like nothing. What shaders are you using? This is Bedrock Edition, man. This is the built-in way that Bedrock Edition looks. This is Vibrant Visuals. This is the Minecraft promoted Vibrant Visuals shaders. No custom shaders, man. Bedrock Edition. Vibrant Visuals is awesome. Yeah, Bedrock. I'm a Bedrock player. I know that so many of you are turning over in your grave right now, in your chair. But I'm a Bedrock player. I'm a Bedrock player. At my heart, I am. Just posted the designs of the ethereal skeleton and zombie I made yesterday to the server. I'll go check those out once I get the opportunity. But how this whole project came about was I had the thought. Oh, actually, I saw a YouTuber by the name of Nice Name. I'm pretty sure it was Nice Name. Spelled with a G. G-N-E-I-S-S. Nice Name. And he does a lot of archaeology videos because he's an archaeologist, and he used commands to dig out this really big area and then graph it on the wall. And I was like, man, that is a really cool idea. So I, as you can see over there, was like, what if I did that in my world? So being an absolute moron and not realizing how much work this was gonna be, I came all the way out here and have been mapping how much loot I've gotten on the wall. So that's what it's for. is to just put this graph on the wall. And you can see we're about 60 layers in and we've got about 200 to go or something like that. It's absolutely ridiculous. Where's the copper? We can't even get copper yet. Copper does not spawn this high. We have 60 more layers to go before we even reach copper. That's how ridiculous this project is. Sorry. My eardrums. I'll turn my volume down because I'm gonna get loud again. I just I did not plan this very well before I went into it. Like, I just knew I wanted it to be a big area. What's the graph for? Look at it. it's super cool, man. It's so cool. That's what it's for. I love graphs and I love math. Look at this graph. You know what I mean? All right. I really wish these stupid shadows from the mountains on the... So these shadows, if you're wondering, these stone walls, I raised them up so that if you're coming from the outside, it just kind of looks like a big box. So these shadows on the inside are there because that is where the solid mountain comes about. You know what I mean? So yeah. You had to smelt all that iron? No, I haven't smelted any of that iron. I've got like 13, maybe 14 shulkers worth of iron ore. I mine all the ore with silk touch. I don't smelt any of it. This is my loot that I've gotten. Actually, this is just one of them. I think I've got another, yeah, right there already filled. My coal is almost full, and this is all of the emerald ore that I've gotten thus far. I don't smelt it. All the iron that I put in this wall is iron that I've gotten from AFKing at my iron farm. I don't mine any of the iron that goes in this wall. Oh, and I should also tell you that this graph is a 4-to-1 representation. So every one block that you see on the graph represents 4 pieces of ore that I acquired. Top 5 streams to sleep to anyways. Hi, I exist. What's up, Half New? What's up, man? Yeah, this is gonna be a real chill stream where we're just gonna be digging. And here's the thing, if you haven't noticed, because I'm graphing the ore that I get at each layer, I have to dig this thing out 1 layer at a time. 1 layer, then the next layer, then the next layer, then the next layer. I can't use TNT dupers. I can't dig out 3 layers at a time. I have to go 1 layer at a time. It is ridiculous. Let's all right, with all that stuff out of the way though, with all the preamble out of the way, we're gonna start working, man, because if we want to get even 1 layer done today, it's going to be about 2.5 to 3 hour stream. It takes well over an hour to dig out a whole layer. It's several million blocks. It's very much ridiculous. Minecraft content Crotter. Crotter works. Yeah, for real. You know, someone is an MC player if they build unbelievably insane stuff for the cool factor. That's pretty much all the stuff I build. And all of these emeralds, by the way, I don't buy. So the funny thing is, he was like, "Oh, you're gonna have to smelt all that." No, I don't smelt any of the ore. Like all the blocks you see on this graph, not a single one of them have been mined. The emerald blocks I got those from trading with villagers. The iron blocks I got those from AFKing at my iron farm. The coal blocks I got from AFKing at my wither skeleton farm. None of these material blocks are what I dig up here. All the stuff I dig up goes right to my storage room. I'm a bit of an idiot. And the thing is, I don't really gain any ore from it because any, like I said, it's a 4-to-1. So even with fortune and then smelting it with fortune, I'm getting back exactly what I put in. The only gain is like, So for example, this iron is covering part of the coal. So where the iron covers the coal, I gain that much coal. And where the emerald covers the iron, I gain that much iron. I'm not really gaining much of anything at all. This is a big loss project. But with that said, with all that stuff said and out of the way, I want to see it in the comments right now. I'm going to go through, and the first thing I do on every layer is I tear out all the ore, and then I dig out all the stone. So I'm going to go through, we're going to dig out all of the ore, which, by the way, this is pretty cool here. You can see I came across a dungeon, and it's got an enchanted golden apple in it, so that's pretty cool. I've left all the loot in here for now. We'll dig it out one day. But isn't this so cool? Look at the... Dude, I love Bedrock Edition. I love vibrant visuals, really. Look at the... I find it really strange that I can't see my own feet, but I can see the shadow from my feet. You know what I mean? But anyways, we got to go around the edges. So first things first, let's do the edges, because there's going to be ore hidden in the walls. By the way, the walls are part of the border. Like, the border is also included in the area that I'm digging out. So like that piece right there is the first piece of ore for this layer. We're gonna put that stone back just to fill it in. We'll go through here, dig out this. There we go. But yeah, the first thing to do is to dig out all the emeralds, all the iron, and all the coal. I want people's guesses. I want people's guesses right now. Drop it in the comments. What do you think we're gonna get? How much coal do you think we're gonna get? How much iron do you think we're gonna get? How much emeralds do you think we're going to get? Keep in mind, this graph, that's a 4-to-1. And keep in mind that, keep in mind that, what am I trying to say? This is a 12 chunk by 12 chunk area. So 144 total chunks. One single Y layer. How much ore do you think you get? There's a mod to see your whole body? Yeah, well, wouldn't that be nice? Here's the funny thing is, I can still get achievements on this world. I don't even have armor on because I play in peaceful mode 90% of the time, but I can still get achievements in this world. Which is pretty cool. Very cool in my opinion. So I can't add add-ons, like the marketplace Bedrock add-ons, can't add them. There's an add-on that adds stats, so I could actually track my stats, and I want it so bad, but I can't add it without forfeiting achievements, and I've already come like 5 years without forfeiting achievements. I'm not going to do it at this point. So I really desperately want them to add stats to the game, or to Bedrock Edition, but for now, we are just stuck. I don't think... Man, it would be super cool if they could retroactively track all your stats, too. Because, like, I've broken several pickaxes on this project alone. I've mined... I think it's like 7 million blocks every single layer that I do. And I've already done like 30 or 40 layers or something like that. Well, I guess I started at 255, but you got to keep in mind that at 255, that's the peak of the mountain. So it wasn't really until 20 layers ago that I was really getting down and dirty with like a full layer every time. You know what I mean? We are not getting that much from the outline. This is what every time I do a layer, this is what I do. I start by going around the entire thing and pulling ore out of the edges of the wall. And then I go around and pull just all the ore out of the floor. And then I go around and remove all the stone. And then I put actually, before I remove the stone, I put the next line up on the graph. So we'll count it all up before we remove the stone and whatnot. Isn't this really cool? Also, ignore that. My buddy did that, and I can't stop him. The funny thing is, because of vibrant visuals, you get shadows like this. So I get that as a shadow running across the floor every day. It's pretty funny. Ace, turn on your light. You will be blind in 3 hours. I can turn on my light. Hang on. Oh. Whoa. I guess I have the switch turned off. There we go. Ace, if you don't have music playing, you can use my hype playlist. We can do that. I don't have music playing right now. All right. This is goofy. Let's turn this volume down. How is that? It's still a bit loud. We'll turn it down a bit more. There we go. There we go. Oh, okay. There we go. I'm gonna write that down, Taco. I'm gonna write it down just so it doesn't get pushed away. I'm being genuine here. I want everyone's guess. Anyone who is willing to guess, wants to take a guess, I want to hear it. Taco says 10 stacks of emerald. Bro, okay. You realize that's like pretty much all the emeralds we've gotten so far. And you're saying we're gonna get that much in one layer? But okay. 40 stacks coal and 25 stacks iron. I don't think you've ever held. So are you realizing that 25 stacks of iron is almost an entire shulker of iron? $27 stacks would be one whole shulker. If I mined 12 chunks to bedrock, I would know the ores, but I didn't. Sure. Well, fair enough. Yeah, fair enough. I mean, the ore distribution bedrock to whatchamacallit, Java Edition is the same. Like, they spawn the same in bedrock as they do Java Edition. But I don't think that's what you're talking about. I think you're just talking about what ores spawn where, why we don't have coal yet, or not coal, why we don't have copper yet, why we don't have all these other things, etc. It's pretty, dude. It's been, so I think on this wall over here, I'm gonna do a graph of like what's supposed to spawn, you know what I mean? Like, I just think that's really fascinating, looking at the actual spawn rates and what you actually get effectively in the world versus what the, you know, world gen spawn rates say there should be, you know what I mean? I just think that would be really fascinating. And then especially because the Minecraft wiki also breaks it down with like the average across the entire world. So like emerald drops to almost nothing because across the entire world there is almost no emeralds, but in this specific biome there's a decent amount, you know what I mean? So, oh, hackers gotta guess. I gotta write that down too. I'll say this much. If I had to have made a guess, like going into it, like my mind has been blown. I would have never expected the results that I got once I started doing this project, you know? Hugga says 1 deep slate emerald. You mean in this whole thing, man? I'm not talking about this whole thing. I'm saying take a guess on just this one layer. That's Y182. All the ore in these 144 chunks at Y level 182. That's the guess I want you to make. Across the whole thing, I mean, yeah, no, 25 iron ore, it would be ridiculously low. And 10 emerald ore would be ridiculously low across the entire thing. 1 deep slate emerald ore, I'm hoping is ridiculously low. Like, that's actually another part of the reason why I'm doing this is I want to get deep slate emerald ore. It did not occur to me just how long it would take to reach deep slate level when I started. I'm telling you, I didn't realize just how much I bit off on this project when I started. I had no idea. 144 chunks, wasn't it 12? No. It's a 12 by 12 of chunks. It's 144 total chunks. 12 by 12. 12 squared. Oh. Is this is, yeah, I'll say this is the built-in, there's a music disc, right? That's what I thought. Creator's such a good music disc. I love it. All right, I gotta write down Hacker's guess before it gets pushed into oblivion. No, I don't realize that I'm going off of Java Generation 2. Fair enough, fair enough. Huggus says 1 deep slate. Not gonna happen on this layer. That's for sure. All right, Hacker says 1 stack of emeralds. 5 stacks of coal. And 3 stacks iron. So he reduced it from his previous guess. Oh, Hugga's got a guess now. I just saw that. Yes, yes. I'm so excited to see. I really want to compare these at the end too. Hugga says 1 stack emeralds. 1 stack emerald. Was it 6 to 7 stacks coal? I'll say 7. We'll say 7 stacks coal, all right? And 3 stacks iron. Wait, Ace, you might want to skip the Geometry Dash songs, or else people in Russia specifically won't be able to see your channel. Okay. Strange, but I don't know the Geometry Dash songs off the top of my head, so you might want to warn me, because I don't play Geometry Dash. At least I haven't in a while. Honestly though, if I miss them, I'm not too fussed about it. So I will make a guess. I think it's only fair that I also make a guess, but just because I have a bit of hindsight bias about what the previous layers have been, so I have a rough idea of what this layer is probably going to be, I'm going to make my guess right at the very end before I reveal the answers. So once we get all this ore mined up, I'll make my guess, and then we'll see. I mean, I'm sure I'm going to be the closest. If I'm not the closest, that's very impressive on your part and kind of pathetic on my part. Because I've like I said, I've done this for 60 to 70 layers already. I should know what the rates look like. Also, are you guys noticing that the only things that spawn are polar bears, goats, and wandering traders? Dino dance. What's up with the dino dance? People are dino dancing. Also, Ace, can we do who got the closest in all of the ores? Absolutely. Yeah, we're gonna break it down. Goat's been there since layer 1. Yeah. Oh yeah. See, I was also very tempted to mark things like the first dripstone I found. Like, there's dripstone over here in the ground, you can see. And I was very tempted to mark things like that on the wall, but I inevitably decided against it. I've also considered, like, oh, should I mark skulk on the wall? Should I mark amethyst on the wall? Should I mark calcite on? And I don't know. I'm currently leaning towards no. And I think that's gonna stay pretty strongly. But I might do like a secondary graph over here of things like that. I just don't know. I also, you know what I am only just noticing? I haven't gotten any granite, any diorite, any andesite. I did not realize that granite, andesite, diorite don't generate this high. I never realized that. It's good music. Dude, Taco, I gotta say, man, every time you post the videos about the new music discs, like custom music discs that you make for your mod, I always watch them, because music is one of those things that like is ever fascinating to me. I love music. I love like listening to new musics and whatnot. I love all that stuff. But I just feel like it does, like, I don't understand. I don't understand music. Like so many things kind of come naturally to me, or if they don't come naturally, I'm a very quick learner. God has very much given me the gift of comprehension. I am very good at comprehending, or understanding, learning. But music is just one of those things that I really, really have to apply myself and really work hard to understand and be even decent at music. And maybe Taco does the same and he's just really dedicated. But at least from listening to his little music discs, it feels like he's just got a natural gift. Like he's got an ear for it. You know what I mean? He's got an ear for hearing good music and for composure and creating these tunes in his head. And I just like, I don't even know where to begin on like creating tunes in my head and like all that other stuff. Nonetheless, bringing it from my head down to like a real thing. You know what I mean? How is he breaking blocks so fast? I'm tapping the trick. I'm tapping left click over and over again. So if I just held left click, it'd break like this. But when you tap it, it insta-mines with haste too, like this, right? So I'm tapping, 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 like that. Just over and over and over again. That's how I'm breaking blocks so fast. I'm tap mining instead of holding it down. But that's also why I'm having a hard time reading comments, because when you tap mine like this, you have to really pay attention to where your cursor is, because like it's very easy to just start obliterating the ground around me or the ground below me. And with the project I'm doing, I cannot afford to break any more than just this layer. Like if I accidentally break that piece of coal and I don't catch it cognitively, oh, I broke that, I need to put it back, my count is off, you know? So it's not the end of the world. I guarantee you that my numbers are at least a little bit wrong, just because I'm a human and I make mistakes. I'll come back to that stuff, but I want to make them as accurate as possible, so I'm trying my best to pay attention. Are we allowed to change a guess before you count it all? You know what? I will allow a second guess after I've mined. So please, if you've got a second guess, if you're changing your mind, please hold off for now. But once I get to the end and I've mined up all of this ore, then feel free to share that second guess, and I'll consider both at the end. I just think that's really interesting. We'll see what your guys' original thoughts were, and then how you guys corrected it. Or potentially made it worse. I guess that's possible that you could make a worse guess. Just make sure you don't get carpal tunnel syndrome from that. The chances of you getting it is never zero after all. Hang on. Oh, you just talking about carpal tunnel? Dude, I guarantee you I will have arthritis, if not carpal tunnel syndrome in my hands when I'm older. Because all of my hobbies are brutal to my hands. If I'm not playing Minecraft or playing video games, which is not good for your hands, then I'm like doing carpentry and building stuff with like power drills and power saws and power sanders, which are brutal for your hands. So I can guarantee you, I already have not arthritis, but frequent wrist pains in my right hand, and other stuff like that. I guarantee you it'll be an issue in my future. Oh, I spend weeks on all my music discs. Also, my latest 2 music discs sound so similar because I really liked how Eclipse sounds, so I made Pyro sound similar. Fair enough. Fair enough. Keep working on them, man. I really want to encourage you to keep working on that stuff, because it's really good, and it's only going to get better the more you work on it. This is cold back here. I probably am wasting time going back and doing this, but... So, oh, by the way, if you're wondering, oh, look at the creeper. I do love the pixel art that some people made. Some people made inappropriate pixel art, but I mean, some people made great pixel art in my roof. But if you're wondering why I wasted the wood and wasted the time putting in a roof, it's because I'm in a snowy biome. So when it rains, it snows, which is not something I thought of when I first started the project. Like I told you, I did not think this project through when I first started, but now I'm way too far in to back out now. But it snows in this biome, so I needed to put a roof. But the only blocks, I mean, there are a few. There's a very, very small number of blocks that allow beacons, so they don't block the beacons. They don't block sunlight, so I'm not constantly in shadow, because that would suck. I, was absolutely not going to have it block sunlight. And they do block snow. Those three things. I needed a block that did those three things. There are very few that are not also ridiculously expensive. Or that can also be placed in air. Trapdoors and glass and slabs are pretty... No, slabs block light. So glass and trapdoors were pretty much my only two options. I could have done like end rods or anything else like similar to end rods, but man, that's just ridiculously expensive. So in the end, I decided trapdoors were cheaper than glass. So I went with trapdoors. And the cool part is, my buddy Jacob, who a lot of you know, if you've seen my hardcore playthrough or you've seen my Terraria playthrough, Jacob actually he put in pretty much all of it. I maybe did 20%, and that's kind of generous to me. He had a lot of time, and he does this a lot. He's really cool, man. Whenever he's got extra time on his hand and is just looking to kill time, he'll be like, hey man, you got a project you need done? And I'll be like, yeah, because I've always got projects that need done. And he'll just get on and do that project. It's so cool. And he won't do like building projects for me, and he won't build farms for me or anything like that. But if it's like, hey, can you go dig out this area? Or hey, can you go put in this roof? Yeah, he does it. It's super cool. And I mean, he's busy. He's a busy guy. He hasn't been on. Here's another cool reason why. This is a realm so that I can play with my friends. This is another one of my favorite parts about the realm, is you get a timeline, so you can see when people are playing. So you can see the majority is just me playing. My buddy Eric was on Monday playing with me. But every now and then he'll just get on and he'll work, man. Good friend, yeah, for real. Glass panes. Glass panes was an option I didn't even think of. And I could have bought glass panes. No, I could have sold glass panes from the to the villagers. Can't buy them. Yeah, glass panes might have worked well. I mean, at this point, we are past... I didn't have to mine a single one of these trees. He chopped all the trees down. He crafted all of the trapdoors, and he placed like 80% of the trapdoors. The only thing I helped him with was placing the trapdoors. I think this is like 20-something shulkers of trapdoors, if I'm not mistaken. It's ridiculous. It is absolutely ridiculous. And he got it done in like a week. It was really cool. But it snows on glass. If it snows on glass. But it couldn't. Because remember, that ceiling is at the world height. It can snow on trapdoors too, I think. I could be wrong about that, but I think it can. But remember, it's at the world height. So nothing can spawn above it. So nothing can snow above it. Snow can't go up there because it's at the build height. Is this a server? It's a realm. It's not technically a server, but a realm. Yeah, Bedrock realm. All 3,500 logs. Yeah, he mined all 3,500 logs by himself. Absolutely. My idea for the new server, oh interesting, is like medieval times or something like that. Yeah, I'd be totally down for that. So someone said something about the trains and the territory. It would be really cool to like do a large biomes world, you know what I mean? And then assign biomes to each territory. So it's like we do a large biomes world, and then you get the jungle, you get the oak, you know, and you can form factions that way. But the problem is, how do you enforce that? You know what I mean? This is the big trick for any idea, is if it's Hermitcraft and it's a private server between you and your friends, you can just say, here's the idea, and expect people to go along with it. And that works totally fine. But when it's a free server open to anyone in the Discord, I can't just say, here's the idea, and expect people to go along with it. You know what I mean? So any idea you have, especially when it comes to questing, when it comes to advancement, when it comes to storyline, when it comes to factions or territories, the question is always going to be, how do you enforce it? And I don't know. I really don't have an answer. But I've got a lot of thoughts, but I don't have any answers to that question. How do you enforce it? You know, I've been taking a break from modding. Creativity just kind of dried up. That happens. And what to add for the time being, unrelated, but I was making art though. It's in this unique art style. Funny how it kind of looks like MS Paint, but good. Basically, I think you mean Pisa Tower, not Pizza Tower. If you know what that is. Yeah, the Leaning Tower of Pisa, I think, is what you're talking about. Got carried away typing that message. I could kind of tell. It feels like 3, maybe 4 different thoughts kind of all jammed together. So I'm not entirely sure which one you want me to answer. So I just kind of answered the last one, but I could tell. You whitelist people you trust to go along. And don't get me, guys, I don't know. I really would love to have a private server for you guys that's just the trusted members of the community. Because there are a lot of you that have been around for a long time, or maybe not so long, who have just proven to me that you're not going to do something unbecoming or something inconsiderate to other players, right? Or something disrespectful. So I totally trust you. But this server, it started as a way to just give back to the support that you guys have given me. And I don't want to cheapen that by going, oh, it's no longer public. You know what I mean? By limiting who has access, it feels cheapened. You know what I mean? And I have considered, well, maybe I could get a select handful of people. I'm second guessing even sharing this thought with you guys because it sounds really good, but I can see potential issues with it, and I haven't made up my mind, but I'm going to share it with you anyways. I'm sorry, I'm laughing at the music. It's all right. Anyways, I've considered selecting a handful of dedicated fans whom I trust and assigning them as faction leaders, and then allowing them to add people to the server, or allowing them to select people into their factions that are maybe not so trusted, or people who apply to the server get randomly added. So that's what I'm saying. It's like immediately already I already don't have an idea. Like, I can't tell you where this would go from there, which is why I probably shouldn't have said anything right now. But oh, inventory's full. But I don't know. It is something that I think would be really cool to do eventually. But I just don't want to cheapen what this server is. You know, what the server is right now is a free server open to absolutely anyone who is in the Discord. You know, it's my way of saying thank you to the people who support me. And I feel like making it exclusive or picking a handful of content creators and only allowing them on the server is a disservice and is disrespectful. You know, it tarnishes what the server was meant to be. I hope that makes sense. I know I've gone on about this for a while now. So I hope that makes sense. Also, Ace, you are almost 1,000. I almost. I think I'm about 20 subs away, last I checked. It's Pizza Tower. Oh, what? It's a game from like 2022? 2022? Definitely not the Leaning Tower of Pisa, though. Okay, got you. No, I've never heard of Pizza Tower. You know what I just thought? Is the Leaning Tower of Pisa called the Leaning Tower of Pisa in like every language? Like, I would assume like that's French, right? Italian. So I'd assume in that language it's still called that. But like, I was a Spanish speaker. I would assume at the very least the word tower would be different. Excuse me, tower would be different and leaning would be different. But it would be like whatever Spanish for leaning and tower is, it'd be like tower leaning de Pisa. You know what I mean? Like of Pisa, right? Like Pisa would be consistent, right? I would think. I don't know. Ace, listen to me. I can make a mod where when people join, they get an NBT, like an NBT, and they can only build in that biome, or like they are limited everywhere but that biome to do stuff. And you have another tag for factions. So with commands, you can add people to it. This would be so good. Okay, dude, Hacker, I like that. If you can do that, I'm absolutely down for that. So here's what I'm thinking, Hacker. Here's what I'm thinking. If you can have a mod or plugin that removes people's permissions so that they can effectively do nothing until they've joined a faction. But once they join said faction, they are then given a quote-unquote tag that checks what biome they are in and then gives them permission back only if they are in said biome. That would be perfect. That would be absolutely perfect. What version would you want the mod for, though? I would say 1.21 or 1.21.1 Neoforge. But whatever works, works. You know what I mean? And if people want to vote for something different, then I guess we vote for something different. But I would think 1.21.1 Neoforge. This is so... Look, dude, even the goats have... Do you remember what the old shadows used to look like? They were just circles on the ground. Now you have legitimate... It's so freaking cool, man. Ugh. Oh, I totally forgot to switch back to the game when I said that. But look, even the goats have little pixelated shadows. Changing my guess? I don't blame you. What version? Okay, I already asked. Okay, we're caught up. We're caught up on the comments. So after we get this area clear, which it looks like we are almost done, I'm gonna do a quick fly around just to make sure we didn't miss any, because it's very possible for me to miss ore. Like there's ore. This area is huge. So I'm gonna do a quick fly around in F1 mode, and we'll make sure we didn't miss any. And then, so while I'm doing the flower geometry dash, we can skip. While I'm doing the fly around, that is when you guys will have the opportunity to submit new guesses. If you want to change your guess, I will allow you to do that once I start the fly around. I mean, I say allow, like I could stop you if you tried to submit it. I mean, you could, and I suppose I could disqualify it, or even ban it, or delete it, but I wouldn't do those things. So you could submit your second guess right now. But I'm gonna say don't do it until I mine up this last little bit here. Let me start the fly around. I need to take my beacons and drop them down to bedrock. Oh. Okay, I think that's everything. If you have a new guess that you'd like to submit, do so now. I'm gonna get an eagle eye out looking for some ore. If anyone sees, or I know it's going to be really hard for you guys to tell if it's this layer or the next layer. Look at that creeper shadow on the wall. Aren't those so cool? I love the shadows from Vibrant Visuals. Vibrant Visuals is so awesome. I'm not seeing anything. I think we're clear. All right, let's call it. We're going back up to the headquarters, or to the offices, or whatever you want to call it. Cool. That is this layer done. I'm gonna go in my inventory. I'm gonna spit out all of the junk. Probably shouldn't have done that before I wrote down your guys' guesses. Ace, play press start. It's so good. I could. So Hacker has submitted a new guess. Let's see, Hacker 2. I'm gonna write that down. Hacker 2. He says 13 stacks coal, 8 stacks iron. I'm assuming he's keeping his emerald the same. Or maybe he just forgot to include emerald. I don't know. 13 stacks coal, 8 stacks iron. And then Taco submitted a new one. Taco 2. He says 1.5 stack emerald. Way down from 10 stacks emerald. 7 stack coal. 7 stacks iron. I see. 7 stacks iron. 7 stacks iron, 12 stacks coal. I'm thinking of sending my art I was talking into the chat, or self-promo, since it doesn't have a watermark with a link. You know, don't want people stealing my art. Fair enough. Totally true. I don't know. Maybe just put a watermark on it and then send it if you want to share it. But it's just a thought. Totally optional, completely not mandatory. But since you didn't review my mod last stream, you could by chance, if you get bored, review Taco Craft. I don't think we're gonna have time to, man. I'm sorry to say it. Because think about it. All we've been doing is digging out ore. Like the ore. Look how much blocks the ore is. It's almost nothing. We've already been mining for an hour, streaming for an hour. Lion, dude, what is up, man? Welcome back. Yeah, absolutely back from the dead. You're telling me. Lion, this is a 12 by 12 chunk area. That's 144 total chunks, and I am mining them out one layer at a time and keeping track of all the ore that I dig up. My guess, everyone's just put in their guess. I gotta say, everyone's guess has been much better. My guess would probably be 16 emeralds. Not even a stack. 1/4 of a stack. 16 emeralds. I would say 14 stacks of coal. And 7 stacks of iron. That's going to be my guess. So y'all's second guess was much closer. Much closer. Bruh, 18-second ad? For what? What is the point? I've been so busy and frustrated with college. Bro, I don't blame you. I actually I graduated while you were gone. I graduated at the beginning of the month. I love it. It's so great. But I immediately got busy with other projects. My guess, Hacker, was 16 emeralds, 14 stacks of coal, and 7 stacks of iron. Here we go. Let's move my book over here so that we can get a nice clear inventory space. That's 9 stacks of coal right there. That is 5.5 stacks of iron. So my guess was way off, way up. If that's 9 stacks, that's 15 stacks and a bit. So my coal guess was 1 stack under. My iron guess was about 1.5 stacks high, and my emerald guess was 2 off. Got a pull request to update my chess mod by a Fabric team member. Dude, that's actually so sick. Your chess mod is dope. I gotta say, like, it feels like a complete mod. Like I'll phrase it this way. It feels so complete and so well done that it feels bizarre to say that I know the person who made it. You know what I mean? Like it feels professional. It's crazy. Idea Robot over on YouTube. Sorry that I missed your chat. But thank you for tuning in. Says, can you do another Creator video on entity animations like swimming, death, and etc.? I am planning on resuming my Creator tutorials once the new Creator update comes out. So once you see the new Creator update video of where I cover the update, then you can expect brand new Creator tutorials after that. Revamping and redoing a lot of my old tutorials as well. Wait, what? Yeah, absolutely, Lion. Absolutely. You can drop the link, man. Drop the link to your mod if you want. It's not a big deal. All right, now that we're back, we have to actually do the math on what these numbers are, right? So, hang on. I'm not going to be able to see your comments because I've got calculator pulled up. 64 times 15 is 960 plus the extra 10. So that's 970 coal. And then what do we have? 5 times 64, 5.5 times 64 is 352 iron and 14 emeralds. So the next thing that I do is I pull out my book and I write it down. So I love books in Minecraft. Yo, I got jump scared. That looks like a professional page, doesn't it? Dude, I'm telling you, Lion makes such high quality mods. It's ridiculous. The 1.21.1 release isn't out yet. Quite yet. Neo4 just being a pain. What have you... Yeah, probably. Lion's a G, man. So this is the book which covers the project, right? Pretty much everything I've already told you. The name of the project, the size, the graph scale, a key so you can decipher the whatchamacallit. Every now and then the formatting gets a little messed up because I have no idea why. But that's what the formatting's supposed to look like. And then if we go to the next page, you'll see I have data. And I have kept track of all of the stuff that I've mined thus far. So we are now at Y layer 181, right? 182? I can't remember, but whatever I guess we're at 188, 181, otherwise we wouldn't be here, right? So we have 970 coal. I think that's a new coal record. Oh no! 974 up here. Dude, 4 pieces of coal away from a coal record. No, 977 over here. Okay, fair enough. But it's clearly gonna peak up into the height of what can be... Excuse me. I got hiccups now. The heights of what we've mined up so far. So 352 iron, that is very far from an iron record. I think 430 right here is close to an iron record. But the actual one is back here, I think. 439, 442. Yeah, I think 442 is so far our iron record for most iron in a single layer. And then 14 emeralds. Our emerald record, I believe, is right here. 24 emeralds in a single layer. No, 25 emeralds right here in a single layer. But okay, that is our data marked down. So now we can worry about grabbing or graphing it. So the first thing we're gonna do is get rid of 14 coal. so that we match our emeralds, right? Because it goes away. So first thing we're gonna do is handle the emeralds, which means we have to get rid of 14 coal, get rid of 14 iron. This is a 4, right? It's done by 4, so that's 4 pieces of emerald that we need. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then our iron, that is at least 1 stack of iron. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then we can dump 4 stacks of coal. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then grab our 1 stack of iron. And then from there, it's a 1 to 4, so we split it into 4 areas, and then 21. Oh goodness, I did a silly. Hang on. I did a silly. I didn't count how much that was. 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, there we go. That is how much coal should be going away. Okay, so that is the coal gone. And we need to grab 21 iron blocks. There we go. So that is our iron blocks that need to go up on the wall. And then this is, well, let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's clearly 2 stacks of coal. And then this is left over, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Split that into 4. Split that into 4. 1, 2. So then 28 is what else we need. Cool. And then from there we can just dump it. That is another coal shulker filled, so we'll mine that up and we'll take that back to our base for storage. And then we'll take our empty shulker here, place it down. Cool. So then we drop down here and we put it in the wall. What up, commenter? What does quad do? I could use it for some tag stuff I'm working on. I don't know what quad does. I have no idea. I keep getting pinged in this modding servers because people need help. Rip. Oh yeah, as soon as I get legit MC, the first thing I'm doing on the server is writing journals. Oh yeah, dude, I love books. I have so many books on this world. Not reading all the description. I don't blame you. Nothing much. It's been a while since. Yeah, fair enough. Why are you counting? Just put it all in one big chest. That's the whole point of what I'm doing here. Is I'm mining into the other layer. I'm graphing it. I'm mining out a 144 chunks. I'm mining out a 12 by 12 chunk layer. I'm doing it 1 layer at a time, and I'm graphing what I gather on the wall so I can see how much ore I got. That's the whole point. Oh, sorry, it's more of a YouTube. Okay, wait, I'm reading stuff that he's not talking to me. All right, you know what? The music stopped. And it's not quite a coal record, right? But we did mine a lot more than last time. So, well, yeah, I guess it should be about here, right? Where is... So it shouldn't pass there because it's not a coal record. All right, let's go place it in. Three, 4. When we place in the iron. Yeah. Yeah, it's I think it's 192 by 192 blocks, this space. So it's pretty dang big. Now that's awfully weird. No! I hate Bedrock. Oh, Bug Rock Edition. Oh, man. That just shouldn't be true. Like, what? Why are they the same on the graph? What did I do wrong? Whatever. I don't care. I don't care. I don't care. This is really annoying, though. This whole first page I have to retype now because it got blacked out for whatever reason. Yeah, no, I definitely messed it up. That's what I'm telling you. I guarantee you that this graph is wrong. It's close. It's like a... It's probably got the spirit, but it's wrong. I can guarantee that it is wrong. Since when it's not shaders, this is vibrant visuals. This is the official Minecraft texture pack. This is just what the game looks like now. And this has been in the game since the Chase the Skies update, since the Happy Ghast update. It's not a shader pack. It's built into the game. It's called Vibrant Visuals. It amazes me how many Java players don't know about Vibrant Visuals. Vibrant Visuals is awesome. Hang on, look, I can show you. Oh wait, I just pressed resume, didn't I? It's like waiting. Waiting for the settings to open. Wait a second. There it is. Oh, they've changed this layout. Yeah, there was an update that came out like yesterday or 2 days ago that's changed some stuff, and I still haven't gotten used to it. But we can go from vibrant visuals to just fancy. And yeah, right? This is just Minecraft, you know? Just Minecraft. This is my favorite part. Look at this shadow compared to this shadow. It's so much better, dude. It's so much better. What if I get my Xbox right now? Does that mean I'm stuck with shaders forever? No, you can turn them off. It is the default mode, though. When you load in, they will be turned on, but you can turn them off. So I don't have to sift through the NBT of a... he's still talking to Lion. Also, Ace, do VODs get saved? Because I forgot what you wanted with the biomes mod. Yeah, they get saved. This will be... It'll get saved on my Twitch for some amount of time, but it should stay up on my YouTube for pretty much forever, so... Honestly, it looks way too bright. It's kind of bright. I mean, you're not wrong. I wouldn't say it's way too bright. I would say that where I'm at is really unflattering. Like, this is just a really bad spot to be showing off something like vibrant visuals, because I'm up at the top of a mountain inside of walls that are blocking traditional light with a trapdoor roof above me. It's just not a good example of what vibrant visuals would normally look like. And while you are correct, like, while I totally agree that it's not perfect, there are parts of it where the brights are too bright and parts of it where the darks are too dark. I will say this, if we're being fair, every single shader pack I have ever seen is either way too dark for their darks or way too bright for their brights. They do not have both. I have never, ever, 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 ever seen a shader pack that rides the line as well as Vibrant Visuals does. I will die on the hill that Vibrant Visuals is the best shader pack of all time. Now, does it have issues? Yes. Yes, it does. It's not perfect. It's not flawless. But it is the best shader pack of all time. Dang. It's like that. I gotta be careful. I was looking at the chat and I accidentally mined this piece of coal. If I hadn't caught that, I'd throw my next counts off. I say as if my counts are not clearly off already. Here's another question. How long do you guys think it's gonna take for me to mine out this layer? Because I can tell you it's gonna be about an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours. Sola's shaders are so good, it's a perfect balance. Okay, look, I'll look into it. I've never heard of it, never seen Sola's shaders. I could be wrong. I could be wrong. But of the shaders that I've seen, I've never seen one strike the balance as well as Vibrant Visuals does. And beyond that, Vibrant Visuals has pixel perfect shaders. Like, it's a pixel to pixel shadow, which is super freaking cool because it keeps it in the like blocky style of Minecraft. Yeah, almost 10,000 days. So once I hit 10,000 days played, I'm going to post a world tour video on my YouTube page, and I'm going to start streaming this world a lot more often. This is a sneak peek. Just a little sneak peek of my 10,000 day world tour video. Literally, what's this man yabbering about? I don't know. I could have been yabbering about anything. I yab about a lot of stuff. You know what else I love about Vibrant Visuals? Like, the way that it fades the entities when you're inside of them. Like, you see what I'm saying? They don't just kind of, like, disappear like normal. It just kind of, like, phase them out. I like it. Alright, Halfney, I'll see you in a minute. No worries. So when are you going to do a playthrough / review of Dark Adventure? I don't know. So I used to do mod reviews at the end of every month, or was it the beginning of every month? But I've been really busy recently, so I'm going to put those on pause at least until like January, if not like February, or maybe September, not September, February, or March, or maybe even April. So I don't know, man. I'm eager to play it, and maybe one day I'll get some extra time and we'll play it. But I just I can't make any commitments like I used to when it comes to reviewing stuff like that, just because I don't know if you've seen the short I posted on YouTube, but I just bought a cargo van, a Ram ProMaster cargo van. And I'm actively working on renovating it and converting it to a camper van so that I can live in it full time. That's a lot of work. And I'm recording it and posting that on YouTube. I'm hoping to get the first video up tomorrow, although I'm going to be honest with you. I had the option to either work on that video or stream, and I chose to stream. So if it's not up tomorrow, you can blame this stream. But I'm hoping to have it up tomorrow. We'll see. I don't know. Halloween's tomorrow. Yeah. Yeah, it is. Yeah. I like that phasing out of mods, to be honest. Of mobs. Oh, yeah, I get what you're saying. Yeah, no, I love it. It's great. Say what you will. Say what you will about Mojang. They have my complete and absolute faith as a game developer. I have absolute and total faith in Mojang, whatever you want to say, however you want to pronounce it. Do they make mistakes? Sure. Yeah, no one's perfect. But I wholly expect them to correct any mistakes they make, and I wholly expect them to catch things that we as the player didn't even catch and improve upon those things as well. I also wholly expect them to do these things in ways that we as the player never expect. I'll say this. A lot of people love to yap on social media, myself included. I love to yap, you know, I'm not innocent. And what I find most often is that people have no idea how Mojang's development mindset, like they have just absolutely no idea about what Mojang's development mindset is. Because Mojang is very public and very open and honest about their strategy and how they go about updating Minecraft. And then you see so many people go out and say things that if they had paid any attention at all to what Mojang said, they would never say those things because they would know it would never happen. Like, it's just ridiculous. Like, I don't know. I'll give you an example, and that's backpacks. Now, I personally think that backpacks could make their way into the game. I don't think they have to be added the way some people do. I think there are other solutions, probably. But I can guarantee you this. Mojang will do their absolute darndest to find and implement a different solution that we have never seen before they cave and just add backpacks. And I personally think that that is for the best. I think that is a great development strategy. I think that trying not to just add things that people have already come up with or what people are already expecting is great, you know? I think at a certain point you do hurt the game and limit the player, but I don't think we've hit that point yet. Other things, such as chairs, tables, and other official furniture and things like that are never, ever, ever going to be added to the game. And I'm not surprised, and I actually support that as well. Because one of Mojang's main concerns when it comes to new blocks is creativity. Whatever they add, they want it to enhance the player's creativity when building, not restrict it. And when you add things like chairs and tables and benches and refrigerators and toilets, the creative versions of these things that players have come up with are suddenly moot. No one's gonna make a bench made of trapdoor and shelves and slabs when there's just straight up benches in the game. So that limits player creativity. It does not enhance player creativity. And to a certain extent, various forms of automation do that same thing. If I was capable of automatically generating diamonds the way I am iron or coal, it would limit my creativity because the lack of diamonds forces me to get creative with the way I go about getting armor and the way I go about getting tools, you know? So it would hurt these things. It would dampen these things. But things like iron farms not only exist, but often get buffed because iron is such a necessary tool and such a necessary ingredient and such a necessary material that if they were to nerf iron farms or remove iron farms, then it would actually hurt creativity because people would not be able to do things like I'm doing here right now. Without my iron farm, I wouldn't be able to do this. I just straight up would not be able to do this. It would take so much longer, it'd be so much harder to place all this iron down, you know? And all the iron I dug up, I would want to use, you know? I would have uses for it. Whereas right now, I just get my iron from iron farms. It's not a big deal, you know? So it's all about striking that balance, and that's incredibly hard. It's a book, I think. They made a book. They never published it, but it's online. It's a virtual published book. You cannot buy a hard copy, but you can find it online. Someone's getting fired in Mojang for the outage, LOL. I don't even know what you're talking about. Was there an outage? You know, Probson are in tomorrow in the DC server. Okay, I'll keep an eye out. I mean, shulker boxes exist. Exactly, right? Shulker boxes are like a type of backpack, but they exist and function in a way that no block or backpack ever had prior to their addition, you know? So I wouldn't be surprised if we got something like a backpack or even just straight up backpacks, but I can guarantee you that Mojang will do their darndest to make sure that it is a new item or functions unlike anything we've ever seen, but still fixes the problem that they need to fix, you know? You have a job, so you wouldn't know about it? Wouldn't know about what? The Minecraft outage? Oh yeah, probably not. But did it happen yesterday by chance? Because I went to hop on and play just a little bit yesterday, and every time I went to open the Minecraft launcher, it kept saying, you know, offline, could not verify that you own Minecraft. And I literally had to sign out of Microsoft in the Xbox app, in the Microsoft store, and in the Minecraft launcher, fully close my computer down, force close the Minecraft launcher from Task Manager, and do some other crazy shenanigans. Oh yeah, delete the local cache folder of the Minecraft launcher from my files to get it to finally register my account again and realize that I, yes, was connected to the internet and yes, owned Minecraft. So was it by any way did it happen yesterday or was it related to that? Because I experienced something similar and spent like an hour trying to fix it. Yes, okay, cool, yeah. I do have a job. British Ice. What are you talking about? British Ice. Oh, is the thing that hosts Minecraft servers crashes. Oh, weird. Huh. Someone clicked that? Why are you saying the J word? So you talking about Jew? I didn't say Jew. J word. Which, so if you've seen my hardcore playthrough, hardcore series, there's a bit where we are talking about the word Jew and using it as like a derogatory term or insult. And at the time, I kind of implied that it was a derogatory term. I don't necessarily think the word Jew is, I think you can definitely, it's all about intention and how you use it, but I don't think it has an inherent derogatory meaning the way that other words do, other words that I'm not going to say, you know what I mean? So, I don't know. Oh, inventory gets so full. There we go. Job. Oh, I see. You censored it. I see. Yeah, you know, why did you censor that? We left job memes in early 20. Oh, okay, I see. Was it job memes? That was a thing? I don't know. I don't follow memes, especially January memes. Like anything early in the year in the first 3 months, especially that. They're the worst, man. If I post my Clash Royale in the Discord, you're gonna rate it. Bruh. Not me, bro. I don't play Clash. I think I got that like level 10 town hall or something that I, you know, made back in like 8th grade or something. But I haven't played in a long time. It's so interesting. One of my favorite parts about this whole project is as you go layer by layer, the shape of the terrain changes because there are caves and like other things like that. So as I go, I discover new caves, I reach the bottom of old caves, and the whole thing gets like just like a different shape to it, you know? Just 10 layers ago, the shape of the ground was just completely different. It's been so fascinating watching the mountains that used to be here and the valleys that used to be here just completely disappear and get replaced by caves. Like this cave right here, dude. Okay, we're gonna skip that song. I don't wanna hear that. That was horrible. Like this cave was not here. You couldn't see this cave from the surface. It opened up as you dug down, which is just so cool in my opinion. I think it's so cool. Hey, did you see my new avatar? It says PFP. If so, what do you think about it? I don't think so. I saw Hacker's new avatar, new PFP. I don't think I saw yours, Taco. Speaking of, though, I've been wanting to make a new profile picture myself, just because. So they say that your profile picture should be like a portrait. You know what I mean? It shouldn't be a logo. Now some people, like especially VTubers and other things like that, you know, or like Minecraft YouTubers, they'll use their Minecraft skin. You know, like Fwip is the one that comes to mind, right? It's just his Minecraft skin, and I think that counts. In Mumbo, it's technically a logo, but it's a face. You know what I mean? Something that a profile picture should definitely not be is a name. And my profile picture is just my name, which is completely redundant. You see the name right next to the profile picture. I don't need to have my name be my profile picture. So I've just been batting around various ideas for new PFPs in my own head. I'm probably going to get one here soon. And other things like that. But Hacker. Yeah, I saw your new yeah. Hacker. Yeah. Your new PFP. I saw it. Hi, I'm back and I'm out of the bath. What's up? What's up, Dino? We're just digging. We tore out all the ore. We put it up on the wall, and now we be digging. Oh, well, mine is the abbreviation of my name. Oh, I did see that. I did see that now that I think about it. No, it looks good. I remember seeing it too and being like, oh, this is good. It's like, it is like a logo and it's abbreviation, but that's fine. You know what I mean? I'm just saying, like, it shouldn't just be your name. That's a big no-no in like the YouTube and content creator space, is your profile picture should not just be your name. And mine is, so mine needs to be changed. I'm just really bad about that type of stuff. So when I made it, I was like, this is going to be temporary. I'll fix it one day, but I just don't have any other ideas right now. I have had other ideas since then. I think I'm going to go with those. So I like to keep my YouTube logo with my designed logo, and my Discord is my bird, because that's my personal account and it makes people feel that I'm not a YouTuber and just a normal guy, you know? Yeah, I do know. That makes total sense, honestly. I also don't feel like, I can't remember who I was talking to. It might have been you, Hacker. It might have been someone else. But I was talking to someone, and they were like, hey, just, you know, by the way, I think you're probably my favorite, like, small-time YouTuber and whatnot. And it's so interesting. And I told him, I was like, man, I don't feel like a YouTuber. I don't consider myself a YouTuber. Like, I don't think about, like, maybe content creator. I could see that title. I do create content, so I'm a content creator. Definitely not my first and foremost. I have no plans to do this full time, and no desire to do it full time. I've said multiple times, if I had the opportunity, I might. I'm not going to say I wouldn't do it full time, but I don't know. I wouldn't say it definitively either that I would. But I have this love of cohesion, you know, like to me, like, my channel is called Ace, right? It's not called Minecraft. It's not called Ace Plays. It's not called, you know, it's Ace. It's just me. You know what I mean? And I like that. And on every platform, no matter what that platform is, whether it be Reddit, Minecraft, YouTube, Twitch, Google, my work login, anything, you know, any platform, I always try to have the same username, always try to have the same profile picture, the same theme, the same layout, the same etc., GitHub, all the same stuff, because I'm me, you know what I mean? And to me, all of these channels shouldn't be me on Twitch or me on YouTube. It should just be me, you know what I mean? So I got this love of cohesion I also have this love of linking accounts, so I will make accounts for stuff that I don't even use just so that I can link them to other accounts. I'm kind of a goober. Taco, thank you for the alert. Have fun eating. He's probably going to eat some tacos. Taco says, expert opinion. Fried chicken makes people feel better. If you eat one piece of fried chicken a week, it doesn't have to be in oil. It can be air fried. You will simply be happier. I mean, weird, a weird thought to say the least. Did you know that studies show that people who own a cat, if you own a cat, you have a lower blood pressure than people who don't own a cat? And it's, while it can't be directly linked, it is believed that that is a resemblant of a decrease in stress, meaning if you own a cat, you are less anxious or less stressed. On average, of course, doesn't apply to everyone. But I can't say that definitively. What I can say definitively is that cat owners usually have a lower blood pressure than people who do not own a cat. Birds better. I really like birds, don't get me wrong. Birds are so cool, and like I'm so fascinated by birds. But I just like I'm in awe of birds, you know what I mean? Like I don't want to cage a bird, right? I feel like birds and large fish. So not bluegill, not bass, not tuna, you know, whales, dolphins, sharks. Birds and large fish, they're just free, man. You know, you can't cage one of those things. They just represent this sense of freedom, in my opinion. So while I love birds, I don't think I would ever own a bird unless I had like at least a half acre of fenced in or closed in property so that bird could fly around and have space to be free. You know, I feel like birds just don't belong inside. And I know that doesn't apply to every bird. Because I've seen birds, and it's amazing how much personality a bird has. Like they are just as personable, just as caring, just as emotional, and just as intelligent as dogs or cats, or lizards for that matter. So, you know, if a bird, you know, falls in love with its owner and is used to being docile, tamed, you know, if you've tamed that bird, yeah, there's nothing wrong with keeping that bird. And in fact, I think the right thing to do is to keep that bird because it's been tamed. It's not going to survive out in the wild anymore. So maybe if humans as a species had come along a bit more in taming and domesticating birds, I'd be more okay with it. But because unlike dogs and cats, we have not been taming and domesticating birds for thousands of years, there's still a part of these birds that, you know, is wild. I just don't believe in caging them, you know? Now, if it's a tamed bird, if it's a domestic bird, that's different. But I'm going to say most birds are wild, you know, and they deserve to be free, and they long to be free. But anywho. Work with your YouTube? That's a recipe for disaster. What do you mean? Nah, I'm doing fine. It's not a recipe for that. I'm fine. I don't want to hear it. I'm just messing with you, by the way. Not birds make you lower than cat blood? Maybe. I don't know. I've never seen any studies on that. Birds better? What's opinion? I mean, I'll tell you this much. My cat has brought me some birds. So, if you have a cat, he'll bring you all the birds you want. Birds are better because you can hug them and stuff. Well, hug them? You can hug a dog. You can hug a cat. They just don't like it. Actually, it depends on the cat. My cat doesn't like to be hugged, but And also, I gotta say, that feels really subjective too. There's no way that all birds just love to be hugged. Like, definitely some birds, but no way to all birds. I mean, not all birds, I'm being really broad. All domestic birds, like any pet shop bird or anything like that. No way that all of them are just down to be hugged, right? I don't know. The species of, they are small. The species of cockatiels I have are, but cats are very big and make a mess. Yeah, they are quite big. I'll say this, birds don't have an anus. So birds cannot control their bowel movements. They just go to the bathroom whenever they have to go to the bathroom. Which kind of is a point against your whole cats make a mess thing. But you are right that cats are inconsiderate, so they will often like knock things over and make a mess of the space around them, even if they don't make like a mess in their, mess in their pants, stuff like that. Also, did y'all realize we've been mining for like 30 minutes and we have barely made a dent in this layer? Straight mining, we've gone through almost 2 whole pickaxes. We've barely made a dent. Half new, thanks for the alert. Gotta sleep? No worries, man. I appreciate the support. I'm put here in the middle of... Wait. Also, my bird is trained to not fly. I can put her in the middle... Like you said here, but I think you mean her. In the middle of a field and she will come to me. That's pretty cool. I mean, that's... Like, what, falcons? You can train falcons to hunt, and you can train them to, like, return and whatnot. So, like, that's a totally different thing. And that's pretty cool nonetheless, though. But there is a difference. There's a difference between training, taming, and domesticating. Those 3 things are all completely different. Even though, on a subject basis, they produce roughly the same results. Also, my bird hatched from an egg, so domestic is all she has known. Yeah, and that's a bit different. In that idea, I kind of get it. And that is, the process, or at least a step in the process of domesticating birds, right? So I get that. But especially, if a wild bird, you shouldn't just catch those. I don't know. But anyway, so training is a specific instance. So training means I have taught them to behave a specific way because they know if they behave that way, I will reward them. That's training. You can train an alligator, but you cannot tame an alligator, and you cannot domesticate an alligator. But you can train an alligator. You can train it to not attack you. Now, if you piss that alligator off, it's still gonna attack you. But you can train it, hey, if you don't attack me, I'll give you food, And then it won't attack you because it knows you're gonna give it food. You are not food, you're gonna give it food. But if you make that alligator mad, it's still gonna eat you. Now, taming is a subject by subject basis, right? If you take a lion or a gorilla and you teach it to not be afraid of humans and to be kind, you can tame a lion, and you can tame a gorilla, and you can tame a tiger. But tigers and lions and gorillas have not been domesticated, and they might have been trained. You can train them on top of taming them, but not necessarily. You don't have to train them in order to tame them. And domestication refers to the entire kind, right? Dogs have been domesticated, or at least several species. The majority, most species of dog have been domesticated. And domestication takes place over generations. Several generations have to pass. And if you tame several generations, you tame a generation, then tame the next generation, then tame the next generation, and use selective breeding to breed for genetics and traits that you find appealing for domestication, then you can eventually domesticate various species and kinds. but domestication takes years and several generations, whereas training is on a subject-to-subject basis, or training refers to one specific behavior, and taming is on a subject-to-subject basis. I know no one asked, but I find this stuff fascinating. I really like this stuff. So there's a little, now you know. Now you know the difference between training, taming, and domestication. Anyways, enough of birds. Yeah, right. What's something you learned this week you never knew before? Oh gosh. What's something I learned this week? That I never knew before. That's a great question. I do have something that immediately pops to my head, but I want to think around for a minute. I want to think around for a minute. Just because the thing that popped into my head is biblical, and I am still learning. You know, I have just been introduced to the idea, the concept, and I'm still learning it myself. So I am hesitant to go around spouting knowledge, especially something that I'm claiming to be biblical knowledge, if I am not absolutely 100% certain, and also well versed enough so that I can adequately explain it so that there is no room for confusion. I would be very remiss and scared and upset to imply or just leave any potential thought for blasphemy when it comes to what the Bible teaches. So I'm hesitant to share that bit of knowledge that I learned this week. But I'm gonna keep thinking. I meant if you get the concept, it's fine to explain. Yeah, I don't know. It just, when it comes to the Bible and the faith, it's really risky business, you know, because spreading false gospel, spreading false messaging is immensely evil. And I would absolutely be immensely ashamed and dread to be a part of that. So I'm not going to even potentially put myself in that situation unless I feel very strongly, absolutely certainly, that I can explain it in a way that justifies, that accurately depicts the message in the scripture and glorifies God simultaneously. So, yeah. What do you think of my fried chicken fact? It was weird. Yeah. I don't know, like, do you have any science to back that up? Like if you could, like, your initial claim, okay, but that's a hypothesis. That's not a claim. You know, you're saying, right, like, your hypothesis is that consuming, what'd you say, fried chicken or dang it! Why didn't you warn me? Dang it! I have broken so many. Oh, that was only, never mind. That was only a fortune pick. I'm not fussed about my fortune picks. I can break my fortune picks all day. My silk touch picks. That is a big loss when I break a silk touch pick. Yeah, let's get some L's in the chat, some rips, some F's. What was it, F in the chat? F plus F to pay F. Let's get some F's in the chat. Oh, that's rough. Oh, also stream delay, so it wouldn't have mattered. Fair enough. My ears, that's what you get. That's what you get for not warning me. Not that I would have checked anyways. I'm notorious for not looking at comments and whatnot. uh but anywho, yeah, if you could show me a scientific study that showed that people who, which this would be like, you couldn't really case study or like come up with a non-biased study. You'd have to get a feedback study, so it's going to be a little bit biased, but like that showed that people who consume fried food are on average happier, then I would take your opinion to be valid, or at least possibly valid, or at least having validity, right? A logical validity. But I don't know. I've never seen this data. Like your initial claim, I don't see any evidence for it. You know, I'm a dip now. He's like, all right, I'm out. Now I'm out. You made it too serious. I'm dipping. All right, later, man. Thanks for stopping by. I appreciate it. Hi, I'm back. I'm gonna back. Okay, my sister had two moths. Two moths. I can't remember what their names were, but we kept them in a tent where we can see them and know that they are safe. Yes, I have. I've heard of this. Right, moths or butterflies. Right, you hatch them in like a butterfly tent or something, a moth tent. And you take care of them and whatnot. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. You know, I think there's a difference between moths and birds, right? You know, moths, insects are not predatorial, right? You know, spiders, you know, arachnids, they're not insects. You know, first off, I know spiders are not insects, but second, they're not. Insects are not predatorial, right? There's something about predatorial animals where, I don't know, like, and birds specifically, I think it's because, like, the sky or the ocean represents, like, freedom to me, and in my mind, it represents, like just openness and freedom. I feel like the sky represents freedom, and well, at least biblically, the ocean represents chaos. But I feel like that's like, yeah, like you can't tame sea creatures because the ocean is chaos, you know, and chaos cannot be tamed. And you can't tame aviary creatures because the sky is freedom, and you know, freedom cannot be chained, right? Insects creep me out. Yeah, I can definitely see that. Insects, I've been through my faith, right? You know, if God created all things, that includes all creatures, including the insects and the spiders and whatnot. And even if they've fallen now and are dangerous now, the same way that we have fallen, they were at least created good, you know, and their genetics and their core are good, right? And all creatures have a purpose. So with that in mind, I have been working to eradicate the predispositions and beliefs and feelings I have towards the creepy crawlies, you know, and the things like that. Like I wouldn't have ever said that I was like, you know, terrified of spiders or had an arachnophobia, but they freaked me out. Like they definitely creeped me out, and I didn't like them, you know what I mean? But I have been working on, you know, every time I see a spider or see a fly or a bumblebee or a wasp or a hornet, remembering that these are God's creation, right? And appreciating the beauty of them and how complex they are and how geniusly and wonderfully and thoughtfully made they are, and all of the, you know, fascinating biology, right? Like, and just trying to be in awe of them, you know what I mean? Just like I said, I'm in awe of birds and in awe of sea creatures. I want to be in awe of insects, you know? I want to be in awe of cats and dogs, but you know, they just feel so mundane or creepy crawly to me, you know? Why does the ocean represent chaos? I mean, guys, think about it, right? Like, when you're out on the ocean in a boat, you know, you could hit a storm at any moment. That storm could send you plunging into the cold depths, right? We know what's at the top of Mount Everest. To this day, we have no idea what's at the bottom of the Mariana Trench, right? We, the ocean is I was like, why did I just hear a piston? It's from the song. You know, the ocean is unpredictable. The ocean is chaotic. It just is. Can you tame the waves? No, you can't. You can no matter what we do as humans, unless we obliterate the moon, which would have other immense negative consequences. You can't stop the waves. You can't stop the tide. That's why the ocean represents chaos. The winds, and these are biblical representations, right? Like, at least when you read the Bible, if like in Revelation, it says that Satan stands on the sea, or on the beach, and stares out at the sea, waiting for like this beast that's gonna pop out of the sea. And he's saying, like, he's at the brink of chaos, right? Like, the world is at the brink of chaos, and he's sitting there waiting patiently for chaos to come. Like, that's what it's trying to say. And just other things like that, like it'll make reference of Leviathan, which was a sea creature, and this creature also represented chaos. Just, I don't know, it just, I couldn't give you any more answer other than what I've already told you. But it's kind of interesting because the sky, but not necessarily the sky, the heavens, right, are obviously representative of like God's works, and like the godly realm. And then the winds are often representative of like God's will in the Bible. But the ocean represents chaos. Yeah, at least biblically, to me, oceans represent calm because of the waves, which is interesting. There's definitely, well, I wouldn't say calm, right? Like, the waves are the opposite of calm, right? Like, the waves are what make the ocean not calm. You can, well, we can't, but calming of the waves, that's a thing, right? Like a concept. And the waves are rhythmic. That's another thing. They are consistent and rhythmic, so there's like a pattern to them. So I can see how that is kind of anti-chaos, right? It's like, oh, well, chaos is meant to be, unpredictable, but the waves are very predictable. We know when the tide's gonna come in. We know when the tide's gonna roll out. But it's not really like the beach I'm talking about. I'm not talking about the beach. I'm talking about the ocean. Have you ever been so far out in the ocean on a boat that you can't see land? That's what I'm talking about. You look around and you have no idea which way's north. And, well, the sun is there. But anyways, you look down and you see nothing but watery, murky, blue, black depths. Like, that's why the ocean represents chaos. You don't know what's down there. You don't know which way to go. You don't know whether a storm's gonna come and throw you into the ocean, right? The ocean is merciless. Interesting thought. In Islam, leaving any book open invites the Shiitan, or Satan slash devil, to read it, particularly if it's a religious text. In Islamic tradition, this is often interpreted as a reminder to be careful with religious texts, to maintain respect for them, and to speak refuge in Allah or God, to seek refuge, from Shaitan. That's actually, so I know a decent amount, not far from everything, but a decent amount, I'd say more than the average non-Muslim, about Islam, a decent amount. I did not know that. I did not know of this tradition. Do you know whether this is like a verbal tradition passed down, or does it come from their texts, their holy texts? I don't want to say the Quran, because there is the Quran and the Hadith, right? And the Quran is their holy text, and the Hadith is the interpretation of the Quran. So the Quran is the text, and then you read the Hadith, and it interprets it for you. Do you know if this idea that you've shared with me comes from either of those books, or if it's like a verbal tradition that was passed down? I remember it is said in the Quran. Okay, interesting. I'm very curious to get the context. So unlike the Bible, where each verse directly relates to the verse before it and the verse after it, the Quran is meant to be read in singular verses. Each individual verse has nothing to do, usually, with the verse after it or the verse before it. And you are meant to pull individual pieces of knowledge, wisdom, and teaching from each verse. That's not how the Bible is. You're supposed to take the entirety of the Bible, take it on the whole. You're not supposed to take any single verse of the Bible by itself. So I don't actually, now that I say that and I'm done with that, I don't see exactly how that has to relate with what we're doing here, but just all that to say, I'm curious. I'd be very curious to read that verse, or just to hear what it has to say. Can't remember the exact line, but I first heard it from my mom. Is your mom a Muslim? Or did she have Muslim friends or family? That's interesting. You know what else I think is interesting is like, so like you could say the Quran. I'm gonna think Bible because I'm a Christian, so to me it would be the Bible. And I also don't entirely know all of the messaging and theme and core principles of the Quran. And maybe there is no singular message or singular theme, because like I said, the verses are more or less meant to be taken individually, not collectively, or well, not sequentially, or as in relating to each other. You are supposed to take all of them, but so the collective, but and you're not supposed to pick and choose the ones you want. You are supposed to take all of them, but like to me, if Christianity had that belief that leaving a book open invites Satan to read it, I'd be like, so what? You know what I mean? Like if I was writing a book, I'd be kind of scared, because that book has my thoughts, my opinions, my feelings and stuff written down in it. So I would be kind of scared to leave it open, because then Satan would know about my thoughts, my feelings, my opinions, my things. He would know how to get to me. But the Bible, like, I don't see how Satan reading the Bible would be dangerous for me. You know what I mean? Like, so it's I'm very curious and interesting, like, what is it about Islam or the Muslim faith that they feel like it's dangerous to have Satan read the Quran, And in that same sense, even if we haven't invited Satan to read the book, what's stopping him from just going and reading it of his own accord? I think in the Quran, each surat, like a story, yep, I remember, the surats are kind of like the chapters or the verses of the Bible, is meant to be read out in lahin, read out in a hymn-like manner. Yes, this is all ringing a bell to what I've learned. So like each surat is a different lesson. Yes, this is all you know the vocabulary a lot better than I do, so thank you for sharing it so that anyone else watching and paying attention is better educated and not misled. But yes, that is what I was trying to say. And I believe these surats could be kind of compared to maybe even the books of the Bible. But each book of the Bible is not meant to be read standalone. They all tell a consecutive story. Now, some of the books are pulled out of order, like Job is about halfway through, but canonically it takes place during the events of Genesis. So they're not necessarily in order, but it is a story that is meant to be read, not necessarily in order, but, you know, cohesively, right, in that way. Whereas, yes, the surats, in my understanding, are meant to be kind of one-off individual stories, and each one teaches a lesson or just a historical event or something like that. My mom and me are Muslim. Okay, awesome. It is more like if Satan, quote unquote, Satan, he put it in quotations, reads it, he knows more about you and gets better at leading you farther from Allah. This is interesting to me. Very interesting to me. Because the book is open, he can see it. Okay. And no, so I can see at least to some extent that idea, and that makes sense to my mind. And I'm not saying what you're saying doesn't make sense or it's not true or anything like that. I'm just saying, at least from my perspective, my belief system and what I think and how I feel in my heart and how I go about living my life, I can definitely see where, you know, if you are, you know, if it's your scripture, right? It's your law, right? So that's how you live your life. You know, for a Muslim, the Quran and maybe the Hadith. I'm sorry, I'm not a Muslim, so I'm sorry if I'm wrong here. But I'm just gonna go ahead and say it. You know, if you're a Muslim, the Quran governs how you live your life. I think that's an accurate thing to say. And if you left that governance open for Satan to see, then he would better know your heart, and he would better know the way you go about living your life, and will thus be better prepared and equipped to deceive you. I think that's the idea you're getting at. Which then, to me at least, I really want to think about. Essentially, that's the idea. Yes. Okay. I'm glad that I phrased it in a way so that we can, you know, affirm our understanding and at least to the best as we can get on the same page. The music stopped again. Yes, I'm still watching. Okay. See, I don't know. So here's the other thing. So here's the only thing. My gut reaction is, yeah, obviously, you know, you don't want to give Satan any power over you, and you don't want to give him any power over your life. But at least as a Christian, it is evident and explicitly clear in the scripture, especially the New Testament, which is why it's a little tricky. Now I know. So now look. Now I'm very biased. I'm very biased when it comes to commenting on the Quran, because the majority of what I've learned about the Quran, I've learned so that I can defend the Bible and explain why the Quran is false. And I can tell that that's going to jerk your knee, and I don't blame you, because if anyone said that about my Bible, that would jerk my knee. I would get really defensive. So I expect you as a devout Muslim, well, maybe not devout, I don't know, but I'm a devout Christian, so if you're a devout Muslim, I would totally expect and understand that that a statement like that is off-putting. But that's what I've learned. And what I've learned is that it says in the Quran that Muslims should read the Bible, and that it reaffirms the Bible's teaching and says, yes, the Bible is the word of God and it is the truth and you should read it, but also read the Quran. But the problem with that is in various places within the Quran, it directly contradicts the teachings in the Bible. So I have a very big issue with that, personally, and I think, and I don't want to put words in your mouth, but I think the idea for the Muslim is that the Bible was the word of God, but is not the inerrant word of God, meaning it has been corrupted or contains falsehoods, in that the Quran is correcting those falsehoods. And that is why it contradicts the Bible in some locations, and that in the areas it contradicts the Bible, you should not take the Bible's word and instead should take the Quran. That is how I think Muslims interpret it, but I'm not sure. I don't want to put any thoughts or theologies into anyone's head. My problem with that is, yeah, that's exactly what Mormons think too, is that the Bible was corrupted and that Joseph's seed uncorrupted it, and that he was given the truth, and that Joseph's seed is from Far Cry 4. Joseph Smith, who is Joseph's seed, is based on Joseph Smith. Joseph Smith was given the inerrant word and he corrected it. So what makes Islam correct and Joseph Smith wrong? And what it's going to have to come down to is the evidence. And we're just streaming and having a fun chat, so we don't have the time to get into the evidence today. But the same thing, but I would like to say, in the sake of fairness, as I have made comments on both Islam and Mormonism, in the sake of fairness, I have not given any defense for Christianity either. So I'm not pushing Christianity. I'm absolutely just discussing my thoughts, my beliefs, and the things I have been taught. And I'm opening them up to anyone listening or anyone watching who has different thoughts or potential answers or different teachings that they would like to share. All right, disclaimer out of the way. Hacker says, there are two main divisions okay, yes, I knew this. The Sunni and the Shia. I often forget what they are called. But yeah, the Sunni and the Shia. Sunnis are the largest branch. The split began after the Prophet Muhammad's death over who should lead the Muslim community. Okay, yes, this is ringing a bell. Sunnis believed in choosing a leader by consensus, while Shias believed the leadership should stay within the Prophet's family through Ali. Got you. I am Shia myself, or Hacker is Shia. Not a devout Muslim, but I've recently started getting more into the Quran. Most of what I know comes from my parents, who are devout and very well educated. I know, yeah, I'm really interested in Christianity. That's awesome, dude. I'm very much interested in religion on the whole. I would say that there's no point in being anything unless you're a devout that thing, you know? Like, why give yourself half, like, I don't know. I think it's a, I think if you are not devout in your faith, whatever that faith is, then I would argue you don't truly believe that faith. You just use that faith to justify the way you live your life. You don't necessarily believe it wholeheartedly and inerrantly to be true if you do not live it devoutly. But if you still claim to be a part of that faith and are not living it devoutly, you simply use that faith. Or if you're, if you're young, that's completely different. Until you're an adult and old enough to study the faith and choose it for yourself, your parents are going to raise you in whatever faith they are. And I don't expect any kid to be devout in their faith. If you are, great, but I don't expect it. But as a full-grown adult, pushing your opinions or claiming to be a part of a faith group, if you are not a devout part of that faith group, then I would argue you are probably just using it to justify your own actions and the way you live your lifestyle. You don't actually believe it to be true when you really search your heart. Well, yeah, that is true. Me personally, I am not devout because I am still learning more and questioning it. Totally fair. Totally fair. And I would obviously very much encourage you to study Christianity, and all forms of Christianity, because it takes various denominations and various forms. And I would encourage you to study the Quran and study Islam too. I really would. So I'm currently reading the Bible because I'm a Christian. Once I finish the Bible, my next step is to read the Quran. That's actually what I want to read after I finish with the Bible. Because, I mean, how many times when talking to you today have I said, oh, I don't know enough to say. I don't know enough to say. I'm not educated enough. I want to remove that ignorance from myself. And I want to be educated enough so that I can be confident, in what I have to say, and be confident in what other people have to say, or that it is either right or wrong. Whichever it is. So I would encourage you to study both. And beyond that, here's what I would say. Look for people who defend your faith. You should ask questions about your faith. I don't think it's blasphemy to go, I need to go now, bye. No worries, Dino. Thank you for stopping by, and thank you for sticking around. I appreciate it. I know that what we've been talking about is not fascinating to everyone. I find it immensely fascinating. But even if you don't care and you just wanted to stick around to support me, I very much appreciate it. So thanks so much, and I'll see you whenever we do another stream, man. Hopefully I will, I guess. I don't know for sure. But I would recommend, first off, any questions you have about your faith, look them up, see what other people say. You know what I mean? And look up multiple answers. Don't just go with the first one you find. And make sure that whatever answer you find is rooted in your holy book, whatever your holy book is. Or at least the holy book of the religion you're looking up, And beyond that, look at other people's objections. I spend most of my time, when I study Christianity, I spend most of my time studying atheists' objections to Christianity, not Christian evidence for why Christianity is correct. And the reason why I study atheist evidence or atheist rejections of Christianity is because if I study that, I know what the people who are opposing my faith I know what issues they have and what roadblocks they have. So I can educate myself on the answers to said roadblocks and and give an accurate and adequate answer when people ask. And beyond that, it also it also just gives me other objections to Christianity that I might not have thought of because I'm so devout in the faith. Or have been raised in the faith, I guess I should say. Not so devout, that sounds so arrogant. That I've never thought of because I've been raised in the faith, so it just doesn't occur to me. It doesn't seem unnatural to me or something like that, you know? I've always been wondering, what is the main book? Because a lot of people around me are mostly Christian, and I really want to learn more about Christianity. I personally will be sticking with Islam, and I don't mind you telling me more about Christianity, even if you say the Quran is false. That's really interesting how Christians view it. How Christians view the Quran. Fair. I think that's very mature of you, to be open to open to objection and open to other people's ideas. I think it's a very mature thought, and I think it shows that you're really thinking critically about your faith, and you're not just holding to it because that's what you were taught and you couldn't fathom changing your mind because you don't want to be wrong. You know, I think it's very mature. So what is the main book? It's the Bible, right? I'll show you. So there are different versions or different variants, and I'm not going to bother getting into the rest of them because I don't believe in the rest of them, but I'll tell you the one I follow. I am a Protestant evangelical Christian who believes in inerrancy and sola scriptura. So Protestant basically means that, way back when the Catholic Church was doing really bad things, there was the Protestant Reformation, where they basically protested against the Catholic Church, Protestant protest, right? Reformed the church, and that's where all the denominations come from. So Protestant basically means that I am not Catholic. I am Lutheran. I wouldn't necessarily say that I subscribe to all the Lutheran beliefs, but that is what I was raised. And along with Lutheran, there's Baptist, Methodist, and a bunch of other ones, but those are just some of the most popular ones, so maybe you've heard those. Evangelical means that I believe that it is the job and responsibility of Christians to spread the good news, that we are called to spread the word of God, and the good news, which is the New Testament. Christian, I would assume you know what Christian means. That means that I believe in Christ as I believe in all the teachings and sayings of Christ. I accept Christ as my Lord and Savior, and I believe that he is completely God, 100% God, and 100% man, one with the Father and the Holy Spirit. Inerrant means I believe that the word of God in the scriptures are uncorruptible, meaning that the Bible we have today is the absolute 100% completely true word of God, and that it cannot be corrupted. And sola scriptura, meaning that the Bible is the only inerrant source of scripture and an errant basis for how we should live our life as Christians. It does not come from the Pope. It does not come from a pastor. It does not come from anyone or anything other than the Bible. That is what sola scriptura means. And I personally believe that you cannot believe in sola scriptura unless you believe in inerrancy. Because they just, like, you believe that the Bible's all you have, but you believe the Bible's also false. That's dangerous. I don't believe it. Look at these beacons, dude. Can I just take a moment to appreciate how beautiful these beacons look? Vibrant visuals, man. Vibrant visuals. It's so freaking cool. But anyways, which means we have one book, and we call it the Bible. And this book is actually composed of 66 other books, written down in 2 testaments by over, I think it's 300 different authors, even though there's only one true author who wrote, there's one author who wrote every book, and one author who wrote one book. You know what I mean? Like each book has its own author, and each book also has the same author. God wrote all of them through various different authors over various times, several thousand years. So I believe that if you really want to get to the meat of Christian teaching, and you want to skip the history lesson, then jump straight into the New Testament. The New Testament is much shorter than the Old Testament, and it contains the meat, the nitty-gritty of what we as Christians believe. And it also contains a bit, not all of it, but a bit about why we believe what we believe. The Old Testament is why we believe what we believe. So the Old Testament is the history lesson and I believe an accurate, not a mythological, a literal documentation of literal history. That's how I interpret the Old Testament. And along which God not only outlines all of the reasons for the New Testament and why we need the New Testament, that's called the law, but also how he is going about fulfilling the New Testament. So the Old Testament, one of the most important parts of the Old Testament is, I would say, the book of Isaiah, which is basically 80-something prophecies that Isaiah, a prophet of God, made about the Messiah, a coming savior who was going to redeem humankind, so that they would have eternal life and would no longer be a slave to sin. I believe that that is so incredibly important, because if you don't have that, if you don't have the book of Isaiah, then the character of Jesus and the personage of Jesus, it means almost nothing. Because what you have in the New Testament is a direct fulfillment of the prophecies made in the Old Testament. Every single prophecy of the Old Testament and every story of the Old Testament points and foreshadows the coming of Jesus Christ. So if you want the history lesson, if you want to get really into how freaking cool it is and why I believe so strongly, it's because of the Old Testament. But if you want the meat and the nitty-gritty of what we believe, it's the New Testament. I remember Baptists from young Sheldon. Do Lutherans get baptisms, or is that just a Baptist thing? Yes, all Christians believe in baptism, but the various denominations kind of have different opinions on baptism. For example, Lutherans believe in infant baptism, meaning as soon as that baby is born and you're allowed to take it out of the hospital, you should have it baptized. I don't know what Baptist believes, and I don't know what Catholics believe, so I'm not gonna make any claims. But I do know that there are some denominations that do not believe in infant baptism and say you should not be baptized until you have reached the age of accountability yourself, and you yourself are saying, yes, I want to be baptized, not your parents saying, I am going to baptize you. So there are some disagreements in the denominations, and the disagreements are all very small stuff, very minute stuff like baptism. None of the denominations, including Catholicism, disagree. Actually, Catholicism is a little bit on the line, which is why it's separate from the Protestant church. But they don't disagree about the key issues, or the key creed of Christianity, which is that, you know, Jesus. Look up the Apostles' Creed. Look up the Apostles' Creed, and that is pretty much all the stuff that all of the churches agree on. Now, there are two versions of the Apostles' Creed. One of them says the Holy Catholic Church, and one of them says the Holy Christian Church, and that's why the Catholic Church stands apart, because they are a little bit different. But basically, it's stuff like, you know, Jesus was true God and true man. The only way to achieve salvation is by belief in him. no man's works are good enough to save him. You know, no matter what you do, it will not be enough to save you from perdition. The only thing that is enough is Jesus Christ, and belief and devotion to Jesus Christ. All of those things, those are consistent throughout all of Christianity. It's the minute things like communion or baptism that we disagree on. In the Bible, is it all the different names, like, you know, how they have different people's names in one book, or is it multiple books? I don't know if I understand what you're saying. In the Bible, is it all the different names, like how they have different people's names in one book, or is it multiple books? It's both. It's both. So each of the individual books of the Bible, and I'll just flip to one randomly here. Like, this is the book of Luke. The book of Luke was written by Luke. So Luke is the author of the book of Luke. Another book, Matthew. Luke is the author of the, not Luke. Matthew is the author of the book of Matthew. So they are their own individual books, right? Jeremiah is the author of the book of Jeremiah. Actually, he might not be. A lot of the Old Testaments do not have the same author as they have names. For example, Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, and Numbers, and Deuteronomy. The first 5 books of the Bible were all written by Moses. None of them have the name Moses. But those 5 books are often referred to as their own book called the Pentateuch. So it's complicated, to say the least. But the short answer is both. The individual books of the Bible have individual authors who were inspired to write what they wrote through the will of God, right? Through God's Spirit. And collectively, when you bring all 66 books together, then you have one book called the Bible. So it's both, if that makes sense, and if that answers your question. Have you broken any more picks? No, I haven't. I did go through a whole pick, but I did not break it. And I'm almost done with this pick. So if you guys are counting, that means we've gone through almost 4 entire pickaxes, netherite pickaxes, and we still got this much. We're not done. We're gonna go through 4 entire pickaxes, and we're gonna need a bit of a 5th. So Jesus is reincarnated God. I'm sorry if I sound so blunt. I'm just trying to learn, LOL. No, I'm not going to be offended. I'm absolutely never going to be offended by you trying to learn. He's not reincarnated God. He's incarnated God. So Jesus, I don't know how exactly, and I guess you could say Jesus died, buried, and was reincarnate. So he has been reincarnate. I just want to be explicitly clear that, like, if you say the entire personage of Jesus is reincarnate God, it implies that God took a carnal form previously and then had to change to be Jesus later. You know what I mean? Doesn't quite check out. It's just a little weird. I just noticed over there, no, I didn't. I was just seeing the spawner. I thought I accidentally tore into my iron graph. But I wasn't. I was just seeing the spawner. So I want to be very clear that Jesus is the Son of God. That's his own claim. He calls himself the Son of God, who came down from heaven. He was sent by God to become man. So he's 100% man. He died and was reincarnated. He was died, separated from his flesh. After 3 days, he was reunited with his flesh and lived again. He then spent, I can't remember the exact time, I think it was like a month. I don't know, don't quote me on the time. But he spent some amount of time on earth again with his disciples, sharing the good news and setting up his church, the Christian church. Before he bodily, physically ascended into heaven. Jesus is reincarnated and is a carnate form of God. Yes, I think that's fair. I think that's a biblical statement. Yes. That God came to that. Yes, I'm saying that God came to earth as Jesus. Yes, that is what we believe as Christians. Now it's very important to note that he didn't just appear as Jesus. He became a human, but was also still God. This is something very hard to wrap your mind around, and I don't expect you to, like, I don't even fully understand it. I just accept the fact that I won't understand it because I'm a Christian. I won't understand it because I'm a human, but I accept the fact that I won't understand it because I'm a Christian. But God, Jesus, is 100% God. He is also 100% man at all times. He does not switch back and forth from being man and being God. He is not 50% man and 50% God. He is not all God and 0% man. He's not all man and 0% God. He is 100% God, 100% man at the same time. That's what we believe. Did God come to earth as Jesus? Yes. Yeah. Yeah, and the only asterisk there is what I've just explained, which is yes, but it is very important to note that the Christian belief states that it's not just God, it is God and man. The official term, and it sounds dumb, the official term is God-man. One word, God-man. That is what Jesus is, and he is the only instance throughout all of theology of a God-man. There is no other version of God-man throughout all of theology, ever, except for the Christian view of Jesus. Which is super fascinating, super interesting, in my opinion. And I think lends itself to even being a bit of its own form of evidence. But that's neither here nor there. Been to church twice in my life. This is all new information to me. Dude, it's baffling to me how many people have been to church that I talk to about this, and they're like, I've never heard that before, and it's brand new information. And it's like, bro, what church are you going to that they're not teaching you this stuff? And it's like, oh, they just say, oh, repent and believe and your life will be blessed. And it's like, that's that is the most watered down form of Christianity ever. Like, that's dangerous. That's a dangerous form of Christianity to be teaching. It's yeah, I mean, you're not alone. You're absolutely not alone in saying that you've never heard these teachings before, just because they're not, there's a lot of stuff I didn't know. For example, it is taught, now there are different interpretations, but in the book of Revelation, which is the final book of the Bible, it's the book that talks about the end of time. Not the only book that talks about the end of time, but the one that pretty much exclusively talks about the end of time. The book of Revelation says in it that Jesus Christ will return to the earth, and when he does, he will lock up Satan and Satan's minions in the bottomless pit, or hell, for 1,000 years. And during that time, Christ will live on this earth that we live in right now, with the saints who have been resurrected. So me, all of the other past saints that have died, all of them, we will all be resurrected, be made perfect, given perfect infallible bodies and given perfect infallible moral code, and we will rule with Christ over the earth for 1,000 years. I never knew that. Now, before you take that and run away with it, there are various interpretations of that. Some people think that that is a spiritual 1,000 years and a spiritual representation of the peace that you can get with Christ through belief in Christ right now. So there are some Christians who believe we are living through those 1,000 years right now, and that this time between Jesus's first coming and his second coming are the 1,000 years that it's talking about. I personally don't fall into that camp. I am usually gonna take a very literal interpretation of scripture. So I do believe that this is a literal 1,000 years that have yet to come. But either way, no matter what belief you take, that's biblical knowledge that I had no idea was there. And I considered myself a devout Christian. I learned that knowledge less than a year ago. So yeah, you're not alone, man. To say that there's information you've never heard of before. Might have been more, but only twice in my sentient life, which is fair, which is totally fair. We as Muslims believe that the Prophet Muhammad did not write the Quran himself. He didn't. There's evidence for that. But he was ummi, unable to read or write. Okay, got you. And there's also evidence for that. So he, and before I finish your comment, the way I understand it, Muhammad was given, he was the last prophet. So he was given visions of God's word and of God's deity and et cetera, et cetera. I don't know exactly all the visions because I haven't read the Quran. But he was given visions and he relayed those visions to the people around him. And if I'm not mistaken, the first, it's believed that Muhammad was born like very shortly after Christ. So they believe that the Islamic tradition has been around since Christ. In fact, if I'm not mistaken, I believe some Muslims believe that Jesus was actually the first Muslim. But I don't know. I don't want to put words in anyone's mouth or beliefs into anyone's heart. But I digress. So Muhammad, I don't think any Muslim is going to try and say Muhammad wrote the Quran. He was given the Quran and he relayed it to his friends and loved ones. And then after he died, they came together and realized that they had not fully memorized the Quran, or at least some people had not fully memorized the Quran, and some people were getting it wrong. So they were like, let's write it down. Let's write it down officially because we don't have Muhammad here to correct us anymore. So let's write it down, and that way we won't lose it. So that's what I think. Hang on 1 second. I'll be right back. All right. Anyways, back to what he was saying. Yeah, the Quran was revealed to him by Allah through the angel Jibril, or Gabriel, yes, over the course of 23 years. Okay, all checks out with what I have been taught, so I'm glad that I've been taught correctly. The Prophet memorized each ayah, or verse, and had his Sahaba companions memorize and record them as well. Yes, okay, this is all checking out with what I remember and what I've been taught. After his passing, these revelations were compiled into one book. That sounds right. I'm sorry if I mistake that, but that sounds pretty much like what I know. Yes. Not gonna lie, being perfect sounds awful. Elaborate. I would love for you to elaborate on that. I will say physically perfect sounds great. I don't have this back pain. I don't have my hand cramps. I can see without wearing glasses. Like, physically perfect. If you're talking physically perfect sounds awful, I don't see where you're coming from. I gotta say, I completely and wholeheartedly disagree. But if you're talking spiritually perfect, I have at points in my life held a similar sentiment to that. And so I feel like I can kind of maybe relate to where you're coming from, but I would love for you to elaborate so I can just check my understanding, and really know where you're coming from, you know? Says, we believe as Shias that God did not communicate to mortals. He always relayed it by angels. Interesting. That's very interesting. I mean, the word angel in Hebrew literally just means messenger. So, I mean, an angel of the Lord is just quite simply a messenger of the Lord. And even in the Christian Bible, there are accounts where it says the word angel, but we know for a fact that it is referring to a human, not a spiritual being. and it's calling that human an angel of the Lord or a messenger of the Lord. I don't know how exactly that lines up with Muslim or Quran's teachings and whatnot, but that's just kind of the thought that I had based on what you've just shared. And I think it's pretty fascinating. I wonder, like I'm really curious about the implications that opens up. In other instances, like I can't recall any direct instances of God. I mean, the father, like Abraham. No, I mean, no, I can, yeah, Abraham. So, like when Abraham is promised a child through Sarah, that is undeniably clear in the Christian teaching in the New Testament or the Old Testament, that is God himself appearing before Abraham and speaking directly to Abraham, not through an angel. So I can definitely think of biblical examples that say that we as Christians disagree with that belief. But I've never really considered that, like, if that's a belief we're wrong on, or like maybe I've been interpreting that wrong, and maybe it's better to interpret that as God spoke to him through an angel, even though it's not explicitly stated that that's what happened. I don't know, and I don't know what type of implications that has either, about the interpretations and about the messaging and whatnot. You got me very curious. I meant Allah didn't communicate directly and he never directly spoke. Yeah. And we as Christians definitely do that. He has done that. If you are perfect, that means you make no mistakes. If you have no flaws, and therefore you never learn optimally. You have no flaws, and therefore you never learn optimally. Got you. So after generations, assuming said perfection lasts, as long as the descendants also followed Jesus in this case, so humans over time will be dumber, and if these people over generations continue to rule the world, they will make poorer and poorer decisions. Dude, wow, what first off, very well said. You have articulated your thoughts very well. And that's a very good argument. Like at least with like that stands up. I can't think of any fallacy that you have fallen into when thinking that way, which is super interesting. Something to consider is that I believe that sexual impulses are inherently sinful, whether you're homosexual or heterosexual. Sexual impulses are inherently sinful. Now, God, in his mercy and grace, has said, if you follow these rules and act on your sexual impulses in these ways, it is okay. So he has given us specific instances in which we can act on our sexual impulses in a just and godly manner. So I would argue that during these 1,000 years, these perfected humans would not be procreating anyways. So that kind of makes your point moot. But that's just an assumption, and it's never stated in the Bible one way or the other. Oh, we just finished the layer, so every time I finish a layer, the next thing I do is I back up. We need to back up, and I take a look at the graph. I think it looks cool. I think it looks awesome. Anyways, we're only gonna have time to do that one layer today, and we might only have time to ever do like maybe 2 layers in one stream. But anywho, that's super interesting. Can I think of any other sound logical deduction that could debunk that thought process? Well, one thing to at least consider is, you know, I'm not a parent, but if I was a parent, I can instill values and teach values to my children, you know? So I wouldn't say that all learning is that people will inherently get dumber. Not necessarily. Assuming that I am perfect and can therefore perfectly teach my kid, then in theory that kid should be just as smart as I am. However, but they shouldn't be any smarter than I am. So the limit of human intelligence is, we've hit our limit. In theory. But I would also argue that just because you are perfectly moral and incapable of making a moral mistake doesn't mean you are completely educated on every topic, so there's still things to learn and information to learn. It's just that you're incapable of sinning anymore. You're incapable of being morally corrupted. We are done, yes sir, right? Also, Ace, can you put a poll on what to do for the server once you're done so I can start working on the biomes mod and I can know what version to use in the Discord? I absolutely can. I'm probably gonna, I'm not gonna say definitively 100%, but I'm gonna at least tell the 3 viewers I have that we will almost definitely be doing something in the Biome Kingdom theme. I liked that idea. I liked it a lot. So I'm gonna put up a poll for you, and that poll is gonna be asking about version so that we can nail down a version. But I'm not gonna open up the poll for what the server is gonna be yet. But I'll show some of that information. Yeah, okay, you know what? Let's hop to the Discord. I'm gonna share some information in the Discord. And we'll ask about the server and kind of jump gears here. Thank you for everyone that tuned in, and thank you for everyone that even just lurked and hung around, for everyone that put a comment in the chat. I really appreciate it, and we'll catch you in the next one.